Hello everybody, 7th of March in Kent, and today I am shooting a video about a beautiful plant that is flowers in late winter, early spring, that is Corydalis solida. Corydalis is a genus of plants related to the poppies, actually, even if they do not resemble poppies at all. And they're called, the common name of Corydalis is bird in a bush or fumewort, and the name Corydalis means actually crested lark, possibly as the bird, because as you can see, the flowers have a pretty long spur. Yeah, do you see? Yep. The plants are native of mostly Europe and Asia, especially the northern and the central part of these continents. The plant is not a very big plant, actually. As you can see, is roughly about 15-20 centimeters tall, and the flowers are about 1 centimeter long. However, they are grouped in clusters, so they are quite showy among the leaves. And the leaves are very beautiful. They resemble very vaguely fern. They are very deeply divided and very elegant. And this plant is also very hardy. Actually, it is hardy up to zone USDA 3 and up to zone 8, so is perfectly adaptable in UK, across UK, and most of the temperate countries anyway. The flowers are self-fertile and they are pollinated by bees. This plant usually, as I said, needs shady and moist areas of the garden, and I have it in a part that never gets direct sunlight, and very close to, well, next to cyclamens and some ferns as well, as you can see. And actually have a few hyacinths that really they should get full sun, but I found this is the third year they are flowers, so actually they seem pretty adaptable even in this light shade as well. The flowers of Corydalis solida are pink, however there are other varieties that can be white or yellow. Some other species actually can also be bright red or blue. Many Chinese Corydalis actually are a very beautiful blue. I do have, next to this pink one, a blue Corydalis, but it usually flowers in late spring or summer, so hopefully I will post a video later on about it. Some species have slightly fragrant flowers. These ones do not smell to me of anything, but really also different people have different sensitivity to fragrance, so possibly, yeah, you might find some nice, very nicely fragrant Corydalis. However, what I like of this plant, as you can see, is a very bright pink color that contrasts very nicely with the deeply divided bright green leaves. I bought this plant actually as corms or tuber, as some people define them more corms rather than tubers. However, to me they looked more like tubers than corms, because I'm used to the more usual, like crocus like shape of the corms. These were a little bit more irregular, a little bit like anemones corms, so to say. Most Corydalis, as I said, are woodland species, so they need moist and leafy soil that does not dry out. And as I said again, light shade, or some others also deep shade. The Corydalis flowers, after pollination, produce a good amount of seeds that has a peculiarity of being attached to a fleshy part called elaiosome. This elaiosome is very rich in lipids and proteins, and this attracts ants that basically take the seeds and they move it around, usually to the nest. They eat this fleshy part and then they discard the seed. Therefore, the seeds of the Corydalis are then spread around the garden. I would consider this plant, however, not invasive at all. First of all, it's a very small plant, very graceful, and it increased. I planted it last year, and I think it increased about maybe 1/3 more in comparison to the size that it was last year. And however, it's just a pleasure to have such a beautiful plant spreading around. And as you can see, in comparison to the other plants I have, is very short, so it doesn't get any it doesn't invade at all the neighboring plant, and doesn't obscure them, doesn't take any light out of them. Actually, this plant is so small that might be easily overshaded by other plants, so remember to give this plant enough shade, but still a little bit of light to allow it to photosynthesize and thrive in your garden anyway. This plant dies back in winter, and actually in June again dies back, so usually is in the green between late winter, as now, and May or June, then goes dormant in summer, and sometimes comes back in autumn before disappearing again in late November, December. This plant is easy to propagate, not only dividing the tubers or bulbs, but also from seeds. The seeds ripen about in May-June, just before the plant disappears. If you want to propagate the plant by seed, it is worth to give the seeds some a cold treatment. So this can be carried out either sowing the seeds in autumn, so they have the full winter to get cold and then germinate in spring. Otherwise, an alternative method is actually keeping the seeds refrigerated at about 4 degrees for 6-8 weeks in order to mimic the cold that they would get in wild conditions, obviously. Another curious to this plant, that this plant is a distant relative of the poppies, however is actually quite a close relative of the bleeding hearts of the Dicentra, and including the famous Dicentra spectabilis that actually I cultivate in this precise spot is not out yet. This is actually the place where I planted the Dicentra spectabilis, so I think it will come out probably in a couple of weeks, started to come out. And actually these plants have been great neighbors, because by the time the Corydalis lose the flowers that fade away, the Dicentra spectabilis, the bleeding heart, starts flowering with these beautiful heart-shaped pink flowers. Well, I have the pink varieties, but there's also red and white varieties. Yeah, my variety is pinkish red. About Corydalis neighbors, I would definitely recommend, as you can see, the cyclamens, and also orchids. I have some cypripediums here. These are not planted in the ground, as you can see, they are in pots. However, some people are very successful to plant cypripediums in the ground, and actually they also need light shade. They can't be exposed to full sun, and as you can see, they are just sprouting now that Corydalis in flower. Cypripediums are about 30 to 50 centimeters tall, the most common hybrids and species, so definitely I would consider them ideal also companions for the Corydalis, because they flower between late April and June, so you have a nice flowering throughout spring until summer. Then the cypripediums will keep their leaves until yeah, early autumn, early mid-autumn. So in this way you can have your shady spot green most of the year, and obviously do not forget the beautiful ferns that are also a great addition to a shady spot. Thank you very much. If you liked the video, please thumbs up, otherwise thumbs down, and obviously any comment is very welcome, both to improve the video and leave me your considerations of what you liked about the video. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.